Well, I'd like to start by welcoming everybody to our first official Metaverse Mondays. Bear with us, this is going to be our first try at it, but it should be fun. So my name is Paul Konieczny, and I'm the co-founder and CEO here at MetaVRse. I would like to thank everybody for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us here today. We are super excited, actually, to present to you today what we believe is the future of the Metaverse. In other words, the future of the spatial web. A little bit of background on MetaVRse as a company. We are a team of entrepreneurs, scientists, developers, and artists with a laser focus on our mission, which is the Metaverse creation for everyone. Metaverse is a truly innovative web-based 3D platform that empowers anyone to become a content creator with the ability to reach the entire target audience with just one click. As you may have guessed already, we believe that the web will go spatial, 2D imagery and videos to 3D and immersive environments. And we are on a mission to empower creators to build exciting and meaningful solutions that provide value and reach. Early on, we made the decision not to raise capital, but instead to follow the old business practice of making money and validating our product. We have been very fortunate to be the recipients of prestigious grants from the Epic Mega Grant and the HBAR Foundation Metaverse Fund. But now with the final product in hand, it is time for us to accelerate our growth. And with that, it is my pleasure to announce our Front Funder campaign, where anyone can invest with as little as $200 and join us on our mission. And with that, I'll pass it on to Alan, who will provide you with some more exciting insights and details. Alan?
Thanks, Paul. We're super excited, everybody, and it's so great to see so many familiar faces. Thank you guys for joining us today. Virtual high five for everyone. We're very excited. There's been a lot of work go into this product over the last decade. And I say decade because, it's not just the 8 years that we've been working on it, that we've been working on the platform, but it's also the experience leading up to this. Paul and his team had built some really revolutionary technology around mapping, 3D mapping, but also they had built some really cool technology prior to that in real-time bidding and auction examples. So they had built a real-time auction a decade ago. So it's really, and Julie and I built the emulator, which was a big see-through touchscreen DJ controller. So it really came from, a long time of building technologies, scaling technologies, and doing that led us into this. And so we're very excited to present to you this. I'm going to share my screen first. One second. Yeah, okay, perfect, it worked. So I'm going to share my screen. I'll go through a little presentation, and then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, let me just minimize this so it's out of my way, guys. Just going to minimize the video. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the team. I'm going to talk about the state of the industry, Metaverse Engine Beta, and I'm going to do a live demo for everybody, and then we'll do a roadmap and raise Q&A, so if anybody can ask any questions. If you have any questions as I go along, please just put them in the comments, in the chat there, and Julie will bring it up to me, and we'll go from there. Is that fair? Anybody else? Yeah, we're good? Awesome. So I'm going to introduce just the top people there for now, and then on the next Metaverse Monday, we'll get into everybody else on the team. But Paul introduced himself as co-founder and CEO. So what happened was in 2018, Julie and I, we had been building Metaverse as a studio, and we really wanted to find a product to wrap our brand around. That was the whole point. And so we started XR Ignite, which was an accelerator. We had a bunch of companies apply. We worked with a bunch of different companies. And really what we wanted to do was find a product that was deserving of the Metaverse name. And so Paul and Walid and Sergey had been working on this web-based 3D creation platform for almost the exact same time as we were working in the studio. We actually launched or registered the two companies within a month of each other here and we live like, 5 kilometers, about 5 miles apart from each other. So it's been really kind of synergistic. As soon as we met, we were like, okay, we're doing this. We have the same visions. Everything's great. And so we decided to put the two companies together. We merged in 2019, and then we released the product in 2020. And so Paul, Walid, and Sergey have been working on that forever, and now they've built their whole product team around that. And so Paul stepped in as CEO, having built a $30 million a year business previous. So he stepped in as CEO. Myself and Julie, you probably know, but we've been working in XR since 2015, and we renamed the company Metaverse in 2016. And really, it's really just been build anything and everything for everybody. That has been our motto from the beginning. And it wasn't that we were a glutton for punishment, because I strongly don't recommend you build everything for everybody. That makes no sense. But what we wanted to do is understand where are the challenges in the industry, what's the future going to lie. And we really found out that content creation is kind of the stumbling block of all of this. And every brand kept asking us, especially if it was a B2C thing, an AR, or they say, oh, we want to do this, or VR. Everybody wanted it to be web-based. They didn't want to download another app, or they didn't want to have their customers download another app, because most brands see about a 70% drop off when somebody has to download an app. So it had to be something that was on the web. And then when Paul and team came along, they showed us something, and I actually was doubtful. I said, no, that's got to be built on Unity. And they said,
You
no,
are
it's
one
built
step
on our
from
own.
activating this program. You will need.
I'm not sure what that was. But yeah, it really came down to, we didn't believe them. Oh, it's got to be built on Unity. And they said, no, it was built on our own rendering technology. And so we dug into it. And not only was it built on their own rendering technology, but it was also built on the rendering technology and delivered through the web. And it kind of checked all the boxes that we needed. And so we launched the product in 2020. And what you're going to see now is a complete rebuild of the product that we launched in 2020. We've been actually working internally with this. We launched the product in 2020. We landed a whole bunch of large clients as our first kind of clients. Our first big project on the platform was to revolutionize medical device training for Siemens Healthineers. Talk about the hardest thing you could possibly bite off at the beginning. The next biggest one was sales training in 3D for Samsung. And so we immediately got thrust into working with some of the biggest companies in the world, and we realized that this is amazing. They are using this platform. We're able to build stuff for them, and what we wanted to do was give them the opportunity to build their own products. And so for the last 3 years, we've been revamping the entire infrastructure that you'll see today to build it for enterprise grade everything. So when I say enterprise grade everything, it's really around allowing anybody to build, but also being within the confounds and bounds of enterprise requirements, SOC 2 compliances, ISO certifications, these types of things, Kronos Group compliance. All of these types of things really come down to being able to service the needs of enterprise clients. And we figured if we could service the needs of enterprise clients at the levels that they required, then we would be able to build a platform for everybody. And because the demands of enterprise are so high, we figured that everybody else could leverage what we had done for the enterprise to build anything and deliver it to anybody. So MetaVRse Engine is a world-leading 3D web development platform, and you'll see it, and it's as low code as we made it, but also fully code enabled with JavaScript, so you can build to your heart's content. We've delivered over 100 projects on the platform, and like I said, we rebuilt it from scratch in the last couple of years. And just 2 weeks ago, we announced the closed beta. So if you haven't already registered for the closed beta, I would encourage you to do so. And I'll put a link in the chat there. It's editor.metaverse.com. Maybe Julie can put a link there. It's editor.metaverse.com, and Metaverse is of course spelled the right way, METAVRSE. Almost a decade of building these solutions, and really we have another part of our business which a lot of investors, when we first started meeting investors, a few years ago, they said, oh, you have to focus only on the product. But what we realized is that having a studio that could build this for our customers and with our customers was necessary. So we have a dedicated 3D design, modeling, and studio team that does all the work for some of these customers. And that's really important, because as we introduce new technologies and as we do it, we have to eat our own dog food, if you would. And so we build everything in-house for our customers right now. And now we're just enabling them and you to build your own solutions for customers as well. Our team has a background in 3D rendering, computer vision, facial recognition, haptics, peripherals, and spatial audio. Spatial audio is built in. All of these things are literally built into the system. So we're super excited. We've just been recognized or named as one of the top Metaverse Tech Innovators of 2023 by Gartner. And we've won the Brandon Hall Group Excellence Award for Best Advance in Education Delivered Through Technology. And for those of you who know Julie and I, our mission is to educate and inspire. And really winning the Best Advance in Education Delivered Through Technology as our first award was super exciting and gratifying. It kind of means we're on the right path. So very proud of that. So a little bit about the industry. The metaverse is an $8 trillion opportunity. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. If you kind of look at all of the reports that have come out over the last, let's say 2 years, even if you took it on the low end, the metaverse as a technology driver is going to drive trillions of dollars in revenues, in newfound growth across every industry you can imagine, from healthcare to food service to retail. Everything will be touched by virtual augmented mixed reality, XR, and 3D technologies. So the metaverse is a new frontier. We're seeing, an expected growth of this to $800 billion for virtual worlds. And this is, Bloomberg and PwC both estimating this. So we're in the middle of a massive growth period. They're estimating 75% or almost 76% compounded annual growth rate. So it's one of the fastest growing markets globally. I guess next to AI. AI would be a little bit higher than that. But like you've seen with kind of all of the Gartner hype cycles, there will be a reckoning for AI as well. Now, my prediction, just to put it on the record, will be December. We're going to see a bit of a reckoning with all of the crazy investments that are going into AI. Now, our system, in order to reach a global scale, we needed to make it work on all devices. And so we really worked hard to publish things to the web on all devices. And our system, I'm very happy to report, works on 7.5 billion devices. I mean, we obviously haven't tested all 7.5 billion, but theoretically works on 7.5 billion devices. The engine that will build the metaverse. One of the things that I mentioned earlier is that we really found the challenges of the industry. So first of all, it's really difficult to learn the incumbent platforms. You have to download a bunch of software. You have to make a bunch of installations. You have to learn how to code in C++, C++ or C#. And there's a lack of scale and reach with these. It requires specialized hardware. So if you're going to build, an experience, you need a really extensive laptop or computer with, graphics cards, and it requires significant costs. Costs can be anything from, buying that computer to also training your teams on how to do this. And if it takes months to learn, those are months of non-productivity. So our solution was to build a 3D platform that anyone could use and share creations instantly on the web. We have a one-click publish to all devices, and that really saves you from having to build an iOS version, Android version, Windows version, Mac OS version, and maybe a VR version. So we have the ability now to hit one click and publish to all devices because of the browser. Our studio obviously is award-winning. You can create these things really quickly, runs on a lot of devices, and you can use the existing assets that you already have. You can use your existing 3D assets, video, audio, images. All of these things can be just imported, and I'll show you that in a minute. And of course, we have 3D spatial analytics. When you're walking around a place or when you've built a space, you can now know exactly where people clicked, how long they hovered, how long they spent on something. And so we're really kind of giving people the Z dimension, or the Z dimension if you're in America, of data. So we're really excited about that. The engine that empowers creators, our goal was to really make it as low code as possible, the engine, and also make it completely web-based. So ours, aside from Play Canvas, I believe ours is the only one with a fully web-based editor. I could be wrong. Maybe Hubs has got a fully web-based editor as well. I haven't played with it in a while. But the whole thing is web. So the editor and the player, which is super exciting. And so this is where we kind of fit in the landscape of creation tools. So what can Metaverse do for you? First of all, like I said, there's no app required. We go directly to the browser, so you don't have to pay App Store commissions or deal with their permissions. And this is actually a time saver as well, because let's say you build an iOS version, Android version, you publish to the app stores, and it never fails. There's always something that comes up, especially if you have a due date to launch something. With our system, you click publish and it's live immediately. I'll show you. So that represents, at least a 50% savings of time when you have to do that. It's easy to learn. Most of it is drag and drop, which I'll show you. Instant deployment everywhere, hardware and software agnostic. And of course, we have real-time IoD data. So you can take data from existing things. Let's say you have a digital twin of a factory and you want to bring data from an actual machine in the factory. into the 3D space, you can do that bidirectionally. So not only can you bring data in, but you can now manipulate that other thing by having bidirectional. And because it's JavaScript, you have the ability to write code directly to anything on the web. And one of the great things about what our platform does is it is completely cloud agnostic. You can host on any cloud server you want, and we have on-premises hosting available as well. Like I said before, you can register today, right now, at editor.metaverse.com. And I will have a special offer for everybody at the end of this, so stay tuned. The Metaverse editor. Okay, so with that, let's take a look at the editor, shall we? So first of all, when you get to editor.metaverse.com, you can either sign if you have an account, or you can create a new account and fill in the information. So I'm just going to sign in here. Okay. Oh. Let's see if I can get my password right. There we go. It has a backup, so you can make sure that you're secure. Or not. Hold on. Maybe too secure. Might have to send that again. All right, let's try that again. All right. There we go. There we go. You'll get a little code. Punch the code in. We're going to work on a one-click sign in. There you go. Okay. So I'm signed in here, and what you'll notice is I have my projects. I've got the ability to have drop-down workspaces. So not only can you have your workspace, but you can work in others' workspaces as well. I have my account, which gives me, all of my information, update password, that type of thing. Subscriptions in here, it gives me the information of my subscription. So right now I'm on the free tier. Right now there's no limits. We have, the limits that say here, so 50 megabytes, all this, the limits have all been removed. So if you sign up today, the limits are all removed. You can build whatever you want, doesn't matter. The marketplace will be where you sign up for additional, professional license, creator license. So we're going to have 3 tiers. We have a free tier. Obviously, you can build whatever you want. There's going to be a creator tier, a professional tier for agencies and studios to build stuff for their clients, and then an enterprise tier for, the Siemens and the Samsungs of the world where they want to deploy this at scale. In organizations here, I actually have the ability to create organizations. I can create super admins. I can create new organizations. I can add people in here. So let's say, for example, I add Julie, and it will say that she's not there, but let's add her. There she goes. She's now a super admin. And you can now have multiple people working together. And I have multiple workspaces. So I can have multiple organizations and multiple workspaces. So I can add people to those workspaces as required, and we can work together. So the way workspaces work are you can work together, but it's asynchronous for now. We will work on a synchronous editing system, but for now it's asynchronous. So into a project. So we're going to build a project together. You start with, you can either import a project if you have one from version 1.0. If you've built something, you can actually export that and bring it in here. There will be some logic problems. You'll have to kind of work through those because there's a slight bit of difference between 1 and 2 from a compatibility standpoint. So I'm going to go in here. We're going to call it MetaVRse. Oops, Mondays. Great. All right, we got a project. So I'm going to do a demo where I'm going to bring everything in from scratch here. So what you can do, first of all, is you can actually rearrange the screens however you feel comfortable. If you have a larger screen, you can edit these down. We also have a zoom feature. So if you're on if you're on a computer with higher resolution or lower resolution, you can edit that down. I'm going to keep it at 65 because I'm on a laptop right now. But you can, like I said, you can move the screen around to give you the things you want. Let's say, for example, I want to add a cube to the space. You'll notice that the cube appears here in the 3D space, but it also appears here. So everything that's in this space right here in the top left is in the scene. So let's say I add a sphere in there. It shows up in here and I can move the sphere as needed, okay? So everything that you add into the scene will be added into the scene. This in between here is an HTML HUD. So not only can you bring 3D objects, but you can now create a HUD using CSS and HTML code as well. And so you can put that right in there. And so you can add your code in there. You can add different styles. It's very familiar to anybody who's worked on building websites. Okay. And the bottom part here is my assets. So you'll notice I have a skybox and a controller. The controller here is a JavaScript controller. And if I right click, I can go edit content and I can start to look at the code in here. There's not much in the world controller here because it's all automated. But what I'll show you, there's a few buttons here. I can import code. I can click this JavaScript button here, and I have a bunch of what we call code snippets. And so what we're going to do is we're going to select this mega controller here. And if I right click, edit content, you'll see that the whole code snippet is on here in JavaScript, and it's a full onboard editor. I can go in here, I can edit to my heart's content, and I'm ready to go. I have multiple tabs up here. I can have multiple tabs of editing, and I can always go back to the 3D viewer as well. So that's kind of the assets folder. But when you'll notice up top here, I've got import, preview, publish. I'm going to import a project. Oops, I'm going to go to desktop, my trusty yellow robot, and I'm going to bring it in as a new folder, yellow, and we're going to upload it. Okay, so what's happening now is it's uploading the files from my desktop of my computer into the cloud. It's converting them from the file. So right now you see conversion finished, robot.fbx conversion finished. And what that means now is if I go into this folder that we created, I'll just show you quick. And then if I drop the robot in here, and by the way, if you want to change from moving something to scaling, you just hit shift and you can scale it up. So I'm just going to hide the cube in the sphere. There we go. Now I've got a robot in here. Cool, great. It's got no textures on there. So how do I add textures? The robot here has some logic. It does have an animation, right? We'll get to that in a second. It does have an animation, but right here, this is your kind of panel for anything to do with something in the 3D space. What you'll notice is when I dropped in the yellow robot, it added all these things into my assets folder, right? But when I dropped the robot in, it added it to my scene. So now I've got my robot in my scene. I can have it cast shadows. And if I wanted to show those shadows, I would have to put something underneath, like let's put a plane in there, let's say. And we'll just make the plane huge so you can see it. Okay. And we'll move it up slightly. And then I'm going to move the robot up slightly. And you'll find that it's really easy to use. Like, I'm just using a trackpad. You can use a mouse. If you right click, you can move things around. I can circle around. It's really intuitive. The gizmo that we built here is super intuitive. And one thing that's actually really interesting is if I grab the cube, for example, and my cube's not show my cube. Okay. If I hit shift and control, I can actually stretch the cube, right? In any direction. So shift expands and shift and control stretches. Okay. I'm gonna actually just get rid of that for now. Back to my robot. Oh, and if let's say I'm way out here and I've got lots of space, I'm way out here, I forget where I am, I can just hit F and it'll bring me right to any object that's in my scene. So now I'm going to click the plane and I'm going to put show shadows because I want to turn that on. I'll show you how to turn that on just now in this button right here, the world controller. I'll get into all the details of this in a second, but what I wanted to do is just show you how to turn on the shadows. You just turn them on. And so now I've got shadows real time. So we'll close that by simply clicking here. And now my object, I have object control. So it automatically goes from my world controller or, HUD controller, whatever, it automatically, when you click things, it automatically goes there, which is super handy. You don't have to think about it. I just click the image or click the 3D object, and now I can work with it. It's auto saving. The auto save is on, by the way. So if you go up in this top left-hand corner, you can save, export, and exit, but auto save is on automatically just so you don't lose your work. Now, in this panel here, you've got a position, rotation. Let's say I wanted to rotate it, right? I can rotate. I can also turn on the gizmo here, this gizmo here, and this gizmo allows me to rotate as well. Okay, I can rotate on any axis. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to put this at 0, 0, 0. Okay, perfect. And I'll turn it this way. One other thing I'll show you, the last button here is the ability to turn on and off the grid. And you can only see it if I back out, but I can turn on and off the grid if you need to turn it off. It's right here. The last button here takes you to 0. So this is the 0 camera position. If I click this, it resets camera position to 0. Okay, so there's my 0 position. So with my robot here, I'm able to go by any of the meshes, materials, and groups. But if I want to select all, I just go here, select all, and then I'm going to add the roughness. I take the roughness texture, drop it on, and you'll notice it instantly starts reflecting on the skybox. And if I go back to the world controller here, you'll notice that I have the ability to see the skybox, right? And then the skybox is actually reflecting off real time. And I can delete that skybox, and now there's no light in the scene at all. There's nothing to, no frame of reference. I can add a light by simply clicking the light here, and I've got light in the scene. I can take that light, I can move it, and I can, let's say, brighten it up a bit, right? It's all real time. So I'll put it at, let's say, 1.5. I go back to my robot. See, there's no textures other than that roughness. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the textures, select all, and we're going to add the normals, the metalness, and then we're going to add the albedo, and you'll start to see now, of course, light is reflecting off these things. So I'm going to add back the skybox as well, and you'll see the difference it makes when you have a real-time reflecting of the skybox. So right now you're just seeing the light reflecting off, but if I turn back on the skybox by simply just dragging the skybox here, you can see the real-time reflections, and it's starting to look like a real robot now. And I'm just going to turn that off so we don't need to see it. You can also change the background colors if you want, right? Keep it black for our sanity. And then now, what can I do with that? So now I've got my robot in here. It looks good. Maybe I want to create a camera angle that brings me right, let's say, I don't know, here. It's a perfect angle. I'm going to go over here so I can add videos. I can add lights, cameras, and this is a HUD button. This is a group. So let's say I have a group of objects. I want to be able to move that group of objects. I can do that. And then, of course, this is primitives. So I'm going to go back to camera. And so you'll notice that it added a camera here. So we'll go call it cam 1. And then when I click it, you'll notice when I click the camera, it opens a little menu here. And all I do, honestly, I can punch in the coordinates if I want, which I don't want to do that because I don't know what the coordinates are. I can just hit use coordinate location. It auto populates all the targets. So now no matter where I am in the scene, if I hit go to location, it takes me back to that camera angle. And of course I could make, let's say maybe we want, I don't know, cam 2, let's say. So I'll make cam 2. Great. Use current location. And so now I can go location 1 or location 2. Okay. So we're going to go back to location 1 and we're going to apply that and a bunch of other things here. We're going to apply it to a button. Okay. So rather than make a button, I'm going to make the robot a button. But before I do that, I'm going to add one more thing. There's a really powerful part of the software called configurations. And what I can do with this is I can add configurations, and you'll notice it's on automatically. You can turn it on. I can click configuration, enter config mode, and you'll notice everything kind of goes red to denote that you're in configuration mode right now. Now what happens is anything I do in the scene, so say, for example, I want to change the color of the plane, and maybe I want to make it, we'll make it, I don't know, blue, right? So we'll make it blue. Perfect. So now the color of my plane is blue, and maybe I want to also change this to red. Well, we'll make it pink. Perfect. Great. Actually, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do this one here. Perfect. There we go. And I'll delete the albedo of that. Okay. So now I can go exit. And what you'll notice is I can turn on and off the entire configuration. And it could even be, let's say I go back into config mode. Maybe I want to move it by 6 inches. Move it over there, exit, and everything now goes to according to that configuration. That could be making an avatar walk. It could be activating an activation or opening or animating something. So what I can do now is I'm going to click the robot. I'm going to go over to the next. So you have 2 tabs. You have the position tab. You have the meshes and materials tab. You have the animations tab. And of course, I showed you that earlier, the animations, right? And I also have the info tab. The info tab gives me the file size, number of meshes, number of triangles or vertices. And also at the bottom, we'll have an object key number. And that key number will be specific to your object. And you'll be able to use coding for that. So what I can do now is I can go to the next one over and you'll see controller. And this is where you use the code snippet that we made, that mega controller. You just drag and drop it on and you'll see a number of options, which is super cool. Because now I can take cam 1 that we made, just drop it on and enable after camera. So now what happens when I go preview, and all preview is a real-time version of that. So I can go here and it flies me into the camera angle. No matter where I am, if I click the robot, it flies me in. Okay, so what we'll do then is we'll go back into the code of the robot because it's now our button, go into the camera, and then we'll change the camera duration. Maybe I want it 4 seconds instead of 2 seconds. Great. It's 4,000 milliseconds. Now let's add a configuration. We'll take the configuration we just did, the one that makes it go left and changes the colors. So enabled after camera. So now when I hit preview, right, I can click it, flies me in 4 seconds, and then changes the colors. Cool. All right. So it works. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to the code and we're going to add the object animation. And I can do this all at once. I'm showing you step by step so you understand how it works. I can take the robot, which you'll notice the robot says robot.fbx.c3b, and C3b stands for Cherry 3D Binary. Cherry 3D was Paul and Waleed and Sergey's company that we partnered with to build the Metaverse engine. It was the backbone, and so we left C3b in as a little ode, homage, if you would, to the previous company. We don't want to completely forget about where we came from. So there's your animation, and I'm going to slow it down to 0.5. So animation will now go much slower. Okay, perfect. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit preview. Perfect. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a shot. So what this is doing when I take shot here, it's setting the hero shot for the load screen. And what that means is now every time you load this project, it's going to load that as your load screen. Saved. Okay, so now when I click it, flies me in and turns the colors, and it should turn on the robot as well. Perfect. It instigates the animation. So now that we have it, it's where we want it. Now here's where the special magic sauce happens. You guys ready? I can't see anybody, so let's do it. Publish. Go. So it's saving now, and the cool thing is it's saving not only locally, but it's saving in the GitHub as well. So now if I make changes, it saves in the GitHub. Let's say you're working on something asynchronously, you make a change, one of us breaks it, we can go in the Git, pull down our code and fix it. So it really is revolutionary that it does it so quickly. Take your phone and scan the QR code with your phone, and here, I'll do it the same, just make sure it works. Click that. And you'll notice that it loads right away on any device, your phone, tablet, computer. I'll put the link in the chat as well. Let me just put here meeting group chat. Okay, great. And so now, oops, I'll go to publish, and I'm just going to click it so you can see in real time. This is what it looks like. There's the loading screen that we took a shot of. There's the project. And you can turn it around. I can be way out here. And when I click it, it takes 4 seconds, flies me in, moves it, changes the color, animates. So while that is not going to win awards, it's just literally a robot in 3D space. I think you get the idea of how quickly we can build and deploy these experiences. So I'll stop there for a second, and we'll take any questions regarding the editor before I move on to show what can be built on that as well. All right. Sorry, we have a question from who's Cybersecurity Global Alliance. There are already many versions of the Meta tech currently available. Do you have a working prototype that is device ready for installment and deployment? There is no installment. It's browser based. So that's the great thing. You just go in the Oculus browser. Of course, you have to make it smaller so you can type it in. But yeah, we have it working on the MetaQuest, MetaQuest 2, MetaQuest 1, MetaQuest Pro. Our focus has been until now to make it work on phones. If you can make it work on phones, you can make it work on VR. And so, I've got, actually I have a folding phone. Well, may as well use the full folding capabilities of my phone here. But, the ability to make it work on a phone is essential because there are way more phones than VR headsets in the world. And, while I am very, very big proponent of VR, it simply doesn't have the scale that most brands need right now. So yes, I hope I answered your question on that.
Hey, Alan, why don't we show the ultrasound demo, which reflects what we won the award for? So
Yeah.
Let's do it. I just wanted to get through the engine just so you kind of see how the sauce is made, how the sausage is made. All right. So now that you've seen how it's made, let's see, when a professional design team builds something cool. So what you're going to see here, this is obviously a 2D HUD that you're seeing here. The 3D is in behind the 2D HUD. It's sitting on top. And we have night mode, day mode. begin. So this is actually an example of the work we do for Siemens Healthineers that won the award. But what you'll see here is the ability to let people autonomously experience and interact with things. And I think this is where learning becomes really, really efficient, because let's say I have tons of experience with this machine. I can fly through the training and get it done all on my own, on my own speed, and there's testing and everything. But if I click overview and maybe I don't know anything about this machine, I think it's an ultrasound machine. I don't know, but oh, wow. Okay. The display signals the brightness mode. Okay, great. I can learn about the display. I can learn about the linear arrays. And of course, these little panels here, because they're just HTML, can be updated in different languages depending on what you need. So for example, convex array, you can have these all pre-populated in every language. So when somebody goes in from Spain, it can come up in Spanish or German or whatever. We also have the ability, obviously, the ability to make exploded views of things, which is super cool. So you can teach people ins and outs of products right down to the screws, nuts, and bolts. And you'll see that even the screws, nuts, and bolts are in here, circuit boards, everything. So most manufacturing companies have the CAD models of this. So they provide the CAD, we shrink it down because obviously CAD models are massive because they're meant for manufacturing. We shrink them down to make them work on the web, and voila, you have an experience like this. I'm going to show you how to use this. So for example, we have a teach, try, and test. In the teach mode, there's your instructions. It obviously has also the ability to read. So there's the information here, but it also has audio. I haven't muted right now because it's very loud, but we can put the audio. We use AI now to do the audio through Synthesia. So you can put audio from any language in there as well now. So step-by-step instructions, carefully lift the panel and put it aside. Great. And all these animations were made in, I believe, in either Cinema 4D or Maya. So you make the animations beforehand. So this animation, pull the power out, take these two screws, set them aside, remove the power supply, insert the new power supply, and follow the other instructions in reverse order. Put the screws, put the plug, and of course, put the back plate on here. So once that's done, your learning is complete. So now how do we test for that? We can go to try, and now you have to do it yourself. So I'm going to go to power supply maintenance now. Okay, great. Make sure this is okay. I need to, so no matter where I click, I have to click these 4 screws. Then I can go to next. And no matter, let's say, for example, I'm up here and I press something up here, nothing happens. I have to actually hit this panel and it says, okay, perfect. You got it right. Next step, I have to click right here. So you can see how you could teach somebody step-by-step instructions. I literally have to click these screws. Then I got to click the power supply. And so it's testing my my skills and ability to do this. Now, you also want to test people. So we have 3D testing as well. And of course, the testing is for the whole thing, not just the power supply. If the screen fails and the power is flashing, you can check the power board supply. I don't know what the answers are here. Multimeter, I think. There we go. I can maybe the motherboard. I don't. These are all random, so I don't know. And then what I can do here is I can actually convex array. I can apply it here. Linear array. I can apply it here. Pulse controls are here. Transducer cables are.
I think the main piece here is that it's testing your knowledge, and you can move this into what Siemens actually did, not for this specific machine, but was badging and rewarding the user for their work, and obviously tracking a little bit more. But this demonstration was actually integrated into their learning management system to enhance the the workflow of training for repair, maintenance, and functionality to be able to train these people. So it was a really good project and fully fleshed out. It offered
use that scale.
Yeah, really did.
And I just want to echo something that Alan had called out earlier. If you think of any physical manufactured object in the world, there is almost certainly a CAD model associated with it. And if that object requires training, orientation, especially for use by professionals, it is an ideal use case for spatial learning applications like this one.
Indeed.
And Carlos is asking if we can do the training in VR. So it could be done. The client did not request it though, because we met the client's needs to where the technology was on the other side. And the repair technicians, they just needed to have interactivity within their workbooks and their learning process. So
they all have a phone in their
Yeah.
pocket at all times. So you really have to deliver the training to where the people are right now. And of course, down the road, they're like, oh, when we first signed with them, the deal that they were adamant that they needed augmented reality on the devices, on the tablets. They must have AR. It has to be part of it. We built it, delivered it, and it's used less than 1%. So, we have all the stats on the back end. So, clients need to be guided a little bit on what's scalable and what's not. In VR, it's starting to pick up. I know Accenture's deploying tons of headsets now, which leads me educate them exactly. It leads me to one thing that I want to share with you guys, which is super exciting. We're working on something new right now, which I will show you right now. 1 second, I'm just gonna line it up here. We're working on something super cool in the field of meetings and conferences in that. So what you're seeing here is a new meeting and conference space. We don't have it's not fully baked. I'm showing you this before anybody else, but the idea here is to have a full meeting space where people can meet and collaborate. You can brand these however you want, and you can have like individual meetings in these little tiny rooms. You can, of course, the rooms are silent from everywhere else. You can also have, for example, that entire experience for the ultrasound is in here as well. So that whole experience is inside of this meeting space, right? So you can start to get an understanding of it's not just a meeting space. You can bring other projects in, and we have developed a new technology called multi-zips, which allow you to take a physical space or a virtual space, if you would, and then add projects into it. And this is actually the technology that is powering the back end of the mall, which is a virtual mall that we're building. It's the world's largest virtual mall, and it will be launched in beta very, very soon, in the next couple of weeks. So you can sign up at themall.io for that. But the meeting spaces and the mall share all the same technologies, from avatars to physics to audio. It's all the same thing. So we decided to build meeting spaces as well. And so you can start to see kind of where we're going with the ability to put meeting spaces in here. Here's another project that's brought in through multi-zips. And you can see how I can start to bring other projects in here. So it's not just the ability to, that is the world's ugliest Nike shoe. Sorry about that. But yeah, you can start to have all sorts of things. And again, if I zoom out, this is just a 3D object. There's nothing, nothing special here. So you can bring in your 3D worlds. You can use our avatar system. We'll integrate with Ready Player One or Ready Player Me at some point. But our avatar system, it was designed for business applications. So you can decorate the avatars however you want, that sort of thing. So I'll stop there. Answer any questions that you guys may have. What do you guys think?
I see a couple of questions in here. One from Osher and one from CPouse.
Is the Metaverse platform already compatible with Siemens Medical Machine? I'm not sure what you mean by compatible with. Our software does not run on their machines. Our software is to teach you how to use, repair, maintain the products that they sell. So it is at scale. It is being used as part of their training protocols now. We actually saved them 45% of their training time. They went from 9 days to 5 days of in-person training, and they're actually starting to talk about using this to scale to not just internal training, but external training as well.
Yeah, you can envision a future where a lot of different manufactured devices might just have a QR code, and anybody with a phone can just scan that in order to access training information about the machine that's directly in front of them.
Exactly. Interoperability for avatars, exactly. Yeah. Are there any other questions? Looks like how many people? We got 27 people in here. Okay. I'm going to move on with the presentation. Then if there's any more questions, just put them in the chat there. And what does it say? Steve Lewis joined. Okay. So High level roadmap. I mean, we're going to be publishing, actually, if you go to metaverse.com/engine, you can see our roadmap. But high level, we first thing we needed to find was product market fit. And I know it sounds crazy to kind of build products and then, or build solutions on the product and then do this. But the whole point was, if we can't show that this product can make money for creators, then they're not going to want to use it. So what we wanted to do is find product market fit, and we found it in training, marketing and retail, and now we're working on collaboration with the meeting spaces. So we've already been able to establish and find real business clients that are paying real money to develop products on our engine. And so this for creators is a gold mine. You can take this, you can work with clients right away. You know, you have proven use cases across training, marketing, retail, and collaboration. We've got deployments across multiple verticals, and not just in pilots. And we're not just stuck in pilot purgatory. These have been deployed at scale. Samsung trained over 50,000 people using our system as well. And of course, the Metaverse version 2 open beta is open now to anybody. Editor.metaverse.com. And we're really going to be focusing on feature expansion based on user behavior and also your feedback and what features that you guys want. If we find that a ton of creators are wanting some sort of feature, then we'll bump it up to the top of the list. And so that's the whole idea here. Is this is a platform for you, the creators, to build, not for us to continue building forever on our own. It's really about the creators. And next thing we're going to be doing is opening up API integrations. So you can have one thing we're going to be working on is a Sketchfab integration. So down in the assets folder of the engine of the editor, you can search for the assets you need right out of Sketchfab and drag and drop them right into the engine. The engine supports OBJ, FBX, DAE, Collada files, GLTF. We do not support USDZ yet, or USD and USDZ yet. It's a work in progress in the future roadmap. We're also going to be looking towards, of course, AI-powered creation tools. That is the future of how these things will be built, from AI-generated 3D objects, skyboxes, environments, images, videos. Those will all be incorporated into that over time as we see where the value is being created in AI and how we can incorporate those. That's on our list of things. I'm just going to check the questions again here.
Yeah, Steve's got a question. He's
Sure,
got his hand.
Go ahead, Steve.
Hey guys, what a great presentation. I love watching how this project and Metaverse has evolved over the months and years. Where does optimization occur? For example, I noticed that you're just quick point and click uploading 3D models. And in particular, you referenced an integration with Cinema 4D. So do you have recommended file sizes? Are we talking about meg, 100 meg?
As small as possible, Steve.
I know, but like, what are your constraints?
There are no limits.
Yeah.
Literally no limits. Now, I'll let Paul speak to the our LOD system, and we really didn't touch on that too much, but I'll let Paul speak to it in a second.
Sure.
But really, there's no limits. The limits come in the playback. If you want this only to work on computers, have at her. Go nuts. Put whatever you want in there. If you really want it to work on an iPhone 7, you're gonna have to get creative. You're gonna have to pre-bake your shadows and these types of things. But something that we had to build for the mall. The mall is massive. It's 1 million square feet per floor, and it's 100 floors and 100 million square feet of it can, based on a 6-foot avatar walking around. So imagine, you have to have the ability to load things asynchronously. And so we created this technology, and I'll let Paul speak to it, called Infinite LOD. And Paul, maybe you can speak to kind of how we are dealing with large projects.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe just I can unpack a little bit. I think, Steve, to your question, was more geared towards, what are the limits of importing objects or textures or things like that, right? So we definitely have limits. The browser only allows a certain amount of memory usage. There's only a certain amount of storage that you have. So there are physical constraints. So from that perspective, yes, we have limits. What we're working on is integrating a sort of a meter to be able to show you your entire project with the textures, with the animations, with all the all the things that are needed to create the entire environment. Whether you're exceeding and where is it going to work well? Is it going to work well on mobile? Is it going to work well on a powerful PC and so forth? So we don't have this yet, but we are working on this. It's definitely on our roadmap. For now, there's, if the system can take it, there are really, if you want to upload a 200-300 megabyte project or file, you can do that.
That's my question. So like you'll see behind me here, I have a scene that we've built. It was authored in Cinema 4D and brought in through Unity. It's probably a 200 or 300 megabyte scene. What I'm asking is, does your algorithm do optimization during the upload process?
Absolutely.
Is that how it happens?
100%. So we actually have our native file system. Okay, so like there's FBX, there's GLTF, GLBs. We have our C3B, and so what happens is when you upload your FBX into the system, it gets uploaded into the cloud. It gets converted to our C3B, which is super optimized, and then it gets downloaded onto your system so you can interact with it in real time.
That's excellent. I'm with you, and I'm loving it. It's great news. Thank you. Congratulations.
Perfect.
Optimization is such an important part of this process. And the fact that you're doing that in-house for the creative community eliminates a lot of frustration and hassle out there for artists who are comfortable working in Blender and Maya, but they don't know how to optimize for the spatial web. So congratulations, and thank you very much for doing that for us. It's really great.
It's our pleasure. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, optimization has really been the core focus for us for since beginning, really, because this technology really got its start in a navigation application where we had to create our own 3D rendering technology to be able to display 3D objects in a vertex environment, which is a map. That's how maps are made. And so we had a challenge immediately, and this was years ago. This is back 2017-16 timeframe. So the devices were much weaker, and so we always had a challenge of optimizing the environment, optimizing the rendering, optimizing everything. So we chose to go with our own extension, our own file system, and because we control it, we can make it quite powerful. So it's not only for objects, but we can make it for entire scenes. So you can bring back an entire zip project that has many parts of logic to it, many environments, many things that are interacting with one another, and you can bring that whole thing in at once, or you can bring it in piece by piece.
Alan, back to the demo there. Is there a profiler view on that robot right there that actually shows? I know you'd mentioned that you can see polygon counts and stuff like that. Does it show what the size of that FBX was?
Absolutely. Well, this is the what you see is the actual size of R.
Yeah, it doesn't show the
your file size after you crunched it.
Exactly.
So what is that? How big is that robot right now with the animation?
It's 1 megabyte.
Wow. And what was it at the starting point? Do you know roughly?
Alan, maybe you can show the size of the original.
I'll tell you. It was 1.2 megabytes.
Okay.
So, but the one I'm about to show you, the robot woman was 59 megs. Hold on one second.
Okay.
I just
imported. And while you're doing that, I see that this question about the necessity of having high-level experience with C++ in order to work on the platform, and the answer to that is no, it's not necessary.
No. So this robot woman here is 88 megs.
So the optimization is, I guess, it comes in many flavors. So for us, optimization is mainly around the rendering technology and whether we can render, efficiently high numbers of polygons, large textures, and so forth and so forth. We deal with animations in a very specific way that is optimized in terms of the rendering. Able to process high frame rates with very complex environments. But sometimes we have to sacrifice a little bit of size in order to do that, because the way we handle our animations they're made to be most efficient. So they're almost pre-done as part of the object, and so they don't have to be rendered on the fly. And so that saves us a lot in terms of performance. So anyway, it's one of those optimization features that we have.
Thank you, Steve.
But if all things are equal, typically, if it's just an object that you bring in from Blender or anywhere else, it will be shrunk. It just depends on how many meshes, how many polygons, how complex it is. and so forth? How many materials?
I know we're running out of time here. We got 1 minute. I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware. We just announced our Front Funder campaign. I know it's I don't want to cut anybody off, but I know we're running out of time, and this is really important because one of the things we wanted to do is before we go and raise a huge amount of money from institutional investors, we wanted to make an offer to our community, to the creators, to actually participate and be shareholders in the company. So we have a Front Funder campaign. We'll put the link in the chat. You can invest as little as $250, as much as $3 million. But all the information's in here as well. You can, scroll down, read about it. If you're, interested in writing a larger check than $50,000, let me know, because there's some additional paperwork that has to go along with it. But you can invest directly from the platform just by clicking Invest Now, and you can jump in as a partner. If you're in the US, there is some additional paperwork, so just reach out to me directly. Happy to do that. And really excited. I'll just end on this. Metaverse has a massive growth potential. We're a diverse revenue streams as well. We've got the ability to build the engine, the studio, and the mall. And we're already working with a large companies. And the last thing is, we have a robust exit strategy over the next decade. Spatial computing will dominate the planet, and so our goal is either a sale or IPO by 2030 to really put this in the hands of every creator in the world. Our mission is Metaverse creation for everyone. So please join us in that mission and join us on our Front Funder campaign. Thank you.
I see Daniel had some questions about the Front Funder campaign, and also Jules had a question about importing from Tiltbrush. Was that answered to your satisfaction, Jules?
Oh, what is the output from Tiltbrush?
It supports FBX outputs as well as a proprietary format. I think they're .tilt files.
We'd have to look into that. I'm certain we don't support the .tilt out of the box, but it may work. I don't know. We have to do that, but I don't think we support the .tilt right now, but definitely FBX. 2 questions on Front Funder. Okay, one tried to sign up, get stuck in the sign up process because the non-Canadians. Message me directly, Daniel, and we'll take care of that. It's because we're a Canadian company, we have to go through Canadian laws and that sort of thing. My email is just @metaverse.com.
I just dropped it in there.
Oh, and if you can just take the Front Funder link and share it out, that would be really wonderful. The videos there, it's pretty self-explanatory, we think. So thank you, Daniel. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you so much for everybody for your time and interest, and it's so great. Thank you. We have such a great community, and yeah, we're grateful for all of you. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. Oh, I forgot to tell you, when you are an investor, you get a really fancy necklace like this, and we have 4 colors to choose from. There's a silver, black, rose gold, and gold. So yeah, you get that when you're a investor in the company.
Amazing.
Awesome, guys. Thank you again. And if there's any more questions, you have our emails. You can reach out to us directly. Julie, Karen, myself, Paul, we're all here to help. Alex, we're all in this together. So thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Steve, I see your question about.
Go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
This is going to be a monthly fireside chat series. So watch your email. We'll be following up with another series of updates and demos for September.
It's so great to finally be able to share all the things we've been working on, because up until now we've just been working with customers. We haven't been able to let people play with this. So I pity the fool who doesn't get a Metaverse necklace. The funny thing is, when I first put this on, my buddy goes, "What are you, Mr. T?"
That's right.
It's either that or a tattoo.
Fun fact about Alan, he has to be knocked unconscious before he can be loaded into an airplane.
It's true. Awesome.
Well, if anybody's got any other questions, we do have a little bit of extra time.
We have time. I just wanted to be conscious of everybody's time. That was, oh, look, Ben's got his hat.
That's right.
Alan literally gave me this hat off the head. I was like, wow, I wish I had a hat. And he handed it to me. So thanks, Alan.
You're welcome, man.
Love it. Awesome.
Thank you so much, everybody.
We love and live our brand.
Yeah, sure. Any other questions? If not, we'll give everybody back the rest of their day.
Phenomenal. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you
guys
so much. Have a great week, guys. Appreciate your time. Cheers.
For being here, everyone. Bye-bye.